I'm Stacey Holmes, and this is Glordinary, a few moments where we celebrate God's glory and champion the ordinary. I'm glad you're here. Hello, friends. Welcome to Glordinary. We've got such a fun conversation today with my dear friend, Lori Melton. Now, Lori and I have known each other for over a decade. And Lori's one of those people, when you meet her, you just kind of say to yourself, I want to be friends with her. And when I met Lori in 2015, she was just about one step ahead of me in life, in parenting, and in homeschooling. And we met at a spiritual formation class, which is just a class that kind of teaches you how to go a little bit deeper in some of the foundational practices of Christianity. And I had no idea that we would go on to be classmates for the next 5 or so years, and then later retreat leaders together. And it was on one of those retreats in 2023, as I was sharing with Lori that I think God's inviting me to start a podcast. She said one of the most helpful statements to me ever. And I refer to it often when my perfectionistic self wants to get stuck. And she said, Stace, there's no way to begin except as a beginner. And it just dials down that fear factor for me. So thank you, Lori. So I'm so excited to share my friend Lori with you today and her new book, Journey with a Giant, that we're going to be talking about. So please welcome to Glordinary, my friend, Lori Melton.
Whoa.
Well, hey, Lori.
Hello.
No pressure there,
one.
but like, be awesome. Okay.
I know, like, yes. I know. Isn't it great to have a friend that's one step ahead of you? Like in life, It's so great. Like, tell me all the mistakes to avoid and tell me what I need to know. I mean, just set me up,
Right. And tell me that I'm going to make it. Tell me that I can do this. Tell me that it's going to be worth it. Like all of the things. Yes. That's what you've been for me. That's who you are to me. So I'm grateful you're here.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I'm so thankful to be here. I've been listening to your podcast and loving it every time it comes on, except for that one series where you made us wait every day to hear the next part. That I was going to call you about that, but I think I did text you and be like, put those episodes out.
I know that was with Becky Nehemiah, my other good friend. Yes, I know you did not love that. I did. You know what? That was a little throwback to when we were all growing up and we had to wait another week before the next episode of our TV show would come on. So, Lori, that was just kind of like your same bat time, same bat channel next day. You just had to wait.
I know. It was good for me. I agree. Yeah.
So is there anything else that you would love for our listeners to know about you?
Man, well, I'm an empty nester, and my husband and I own a little retreat center in Western Michigan called the Sanctuary at Bear Creek. And that kind of kicked off our empty nest season, was that new invitation and new ministry mission for us. And little did I know that right around the corner was going to be spiritual direction training, and then writing opening up for me, and then eventually a lifelong dream to write a book. So I feel like my story is so powerful for empty nest women, especially because of the new things that God has for us. And I've seen that in your life too. And I've kind of been observing in different women in that age category. Like often God has these new wonderful things right around the corner that he invites us into. And so, it's a wonderful time of life.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I would say too, this has also been for your husband, Brian, as well. Like it hasn't just been something that's been for you, but it's really something that you guys have been able to like tag team on together.
Yes.
And you did mention the empty nest. Do you want to tell us how many kids you have? Because that's kind of a little overachiever.
That's right. We have 6 kids, one at a time, 6 pregnancies. I earned every one of them, So we have 5 sons, and then God was gracious and gave us a daughter. Thank you, Jesus. He's merciful. So they're all grown. They range in age from 37 down to 25 right now. 3 are married. I have 3 grandchildren, 2 girls and 1 boy. So the girls are currently outnumbering the boys in our family, which is a wonderful switch.
And will continue to, right?
Yes, we have, twin granddaughters due in March, April, somewhere around then. So we got these
Woohoo!
2 little girls, and I am actually a fraternal twin with a sister. So I'm a twin combo with a sister. So I'm super excited to have that in common with my little granddaughter who's gonna show up here in a couple months.
Yeah, that's so fun. So
Yeah.
6 kids that you homeschooled.
Yeah, we homeschooled. Yep, we did, and we did a little of everything. I mean, we did send to charter school for a while, we did some private school for a while. We tried to take it year by year with what was
Yeah.
best for each one of the kids at the time. So, yeah, but that was a great phase of my life. Oh, I loved it. I just loved it. So, yeah, each one
So
has
let
been
me
wonderful.
So let me ask you this, Lori, because I'm listening to your intro here and I'm thinking, okay, I know you as a dear friend, somebody that doesn't know you and they're just tuning in right now. They're hearing this stuff about you that you've had 6 kids, that you homeschooled all of them. Now you've written a book, you have this
I know.
retreat center. Nothing about that sounds very ordinary. It sounds like you're this superstar. So,
Mm,
um, how how would you describe
yeah.
yourself and say, "You know what? Actually, this has been a really long obedience in the same direction. This has been a very ordinary life." Because it's easy for us to hear and see highlights in people's lives,
Right.
and then we
Mhm.
think, "Well, I can't do that. Like, I'm not that
Yeah, I
person."
mean, those were all ordinary days. Those were all ordinary decisions. Whether we would have chosen a homeschool or not, it would have been day by day obedience to what God told us. And our
Mhm.
kids were in charter school for a few years, and I know how hard that is. That almost
Mhm.
seemed harder to me than homeschooling.
Mm. Mhm.
So if it seems extraordinary, I think every
Mhm.
path is extraordinary,
Mm.
um, because when you get called to that path, there's certain challenges to it that you have to
Mhm.
overcome that the other person doesn't. So it was a lot of ordinary days. It was
Right.
25 years of being home with my kids and supporting my
Mm. Mhm.
husband, and
Mhm.
before the doors started opening up for me
Mhm.
individually after that.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, and even now
Yeah.
it's ordinary in a lot of ways because I'm getting ready for the kids to come over tomorrow, and I babysit, and
Mhm.
so it's a lot of that. It's
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Well, I definitely wanna dive in about the book, but before we get there, can you tell me a little bit? I already know part of this story, but I like it. Can you tell
Mm,
me a little bit about how did you even meet Christ? Were you raised this way? Is this
mm.
something like, "Oh, I was a Christian when I was 1." Tell
Right,
me
right,
about that.
right. No, actually, I wasn't raised in Western Michigan. I was raised in Niagara Falls, New York. I was born there,
Mm.
so that's a fun fact about me. Born and raised in Niagara Falls, and we weren't a religious family. My parents started taking us to church, a denominational church, when I was in 3rd grade, and I was in Catholic school. Um, but I really didn't think about God. I really didn't have a perception of God in my life until a little boyfriend when I was 13, too young to date, all you out there with your kids. That's too young to date. But we I had this little boyfriend, and he went to an Assembly of God youth group. And so he asked me if I wanted to go to youth group with him, and I'm like, "I'll go anywhere with you," because it felt like a date, you know? So, but when I got to the youth group, I recognized right away that the leaders prayed like they meant it, and they
Mm.
sang like they meant it, and
Mm.
they talked about knowing Jesus personally, and I was like, What are they talking about? I don't even know what that
Mm.
is."
Mhm. Yeah.
And as they described it, and as I saw that Jesus could be a living part of our life,
Mm.
and then they, of course, would ask, there would be altar calls and ask if we
Mhm.
wanted to accept Christ. So anyway, I was going to that youth group for a long time, long time.
Mhm.
I'm going to say a few months. It's not a long time. But then we were going to a non-denominational church also in the evenings and hearing messages. And I was hearing messages about personal relationship with Jesus for the first time, and
Mm.
altar calls, and 2 young people in that youth group, they were both 18, a little couple, and we couldn't drive, my boyfriend and I, so they would pick us up and take us back and forth to church and youth group, and in this little VW Bug, that's what they had, and so we would
Mm.
sit in the back seat, and they would answer all of my questions about faith, and they
Mm.
would disciple me and give me tracts and give me music. Well, in one of those church services when there was a altar call, they were sitting in front of me, and they turned around, and I wanted to go up and give my life to Jesus, but I
Mm,
was afraid. And the guy, his name was Sam, he turned around and he said, "It's time for you to go up." And I was like,
mm,
"He's right. Okay, I'm going up." And I gave
mm.
my life to Jesus. And I like to look at that because sometimes we think we shouldn't interfere in people's spiritual path. But when we're prompted by the Holy
Come
Spirit,
on now.
sometimes we need other people to prompt us. I
Mm,
needed that
mhm.
prompt. And so he
Right.
was obedient and I received what God had. And my whole
Wow.
life changed. I could feel it. I felt a weight lift off my heart at 13 years old that I didn't know I even had. And it was like my eyes opened for the first time. Like I saw everything looked different.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love
And
that story.
our home was very broken at the time. My dad had been career military and, ended up
I don't
an
think I knew that.
alcoholic. Yeah,
Okay.
he and when he so he got out of the military when I was a baby, 1 or 2 years old, and then he tried to acclimate to civilian life, and it didn't go well.
Mm.
So he ended up falling into alcoholism, and he died 6 months before I gave my life to Jesus. At the same time I was dating this
Oh,
little boyfriend, he passed
okay.
away. And so right about the time when I was confused as all get out, would have made every
Right.
bad choice in the world, the
Right.
Lord showed up and rescued me.
Mm. Man, I love that story. I was familiar with it, but I didn't remember or else I didn't know all those details. And man,
Yeah.
that's like those are the times that I feel like God not only showed up, but he like showed off. Like, let me show you what I can do here. Let me just show you what I can do. And then that really started you on your journey with Christ, right? Like you kind of
Mhm.
like just
Yeah.
took off with him then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I had a hunger to grow and to study
Mhm.
the word. The Bible that or the church that I was in taught how to study the Bible and encouraged it and hearing God's
Mhm.
voice for the Bible. So I was in
Mhm.
high school at the time. So after school, I would come home and I had my own room. I would shut the door and with my Bible and a notebook and a concordance and a dictionary, like I had a old-fashioned dictionary, and I would just start reading the word and cross references and looking up words in the dictionary and looking them up in in the concordance. And God was planting all kinds of revelation in my heart. The Holy Spirit was speaking to me. And during those high school years after I gave my life to Jesus, not being living in the Bible Belt, I was the only Christian in my high school. So people couldn't understand me. So I
Yeah.
was very lonely. Like I
Mm.
was isolated. So it gave me
Yeah.
all that time to
Mm.
plant into my relationship with Jesus, which was my complete foundation.
Mm.
I love that period of my life. It was precious. It was my first love years with Christ and planted me so deep in the word and study and hearing his voice.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can affirm that as I'm hearing your story because I can remember sitting in classes with you over all these years, and you would be the only one with their laptop out, and you would be just click, 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 click the whole time
Yes.
as, like, our professors were chatting and stuff, and, I mean, several of us would take notes, but, man, you were right there on your keyboard, click, 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 and
Yeah.
you just, like, absorbed all of it, so I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. God made me a studier. I love learning. I love
You're a little
learning.
Berean. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's how he created me.
Mhm. Well, and actually, I think that that poised you well for being able to write this book, Journey with
Mhm.
a Giant. But before we get there, I want to ask you how talk to me about how the invitation came for,
Mm. Mhm.
you had this deep-seated desire from the time you were young that you wanted to write a
Yes.
book. And
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
course you wanted to write a book, being like the studious person you are, this personality that you have. I mean, it
Mhm.
is so odd that you would sit down with like the Bible and a concordance and a dictionary. Like that is not normal behavior, especially for a teenager. So I'm
Right?
like, yes, you are my kind of people, but
Yeah.
like how
I
did you
loved
get
it.
from there? You have this
Mhm.
desire, and then
Mhm.
take me through a little bit of that invitation of where
Yeah,
this even
yeah.
came from.
Yeah, way back I went to 1 year of college and I met my husband and we ended up I got my MRS degree, I like to tell people, in the accelerated program, like
Excel
top of my
you were
class.
you
I
were
was first to
gifted.
graduated, in there, but during that first year of college, when I was writing papers, I realized I had a gift for writing and a desire to write, and then I went into, marriage and raising our kids, so I set that on the shelf, and God brought it back later. So what happened was when we were in spiritual direction training, one of the practices that they introduced us to was walking with a spiritual giant. They pulled out a sheet of paper with about 50 names on it and said, okay, everybody, as a sideline to our curriculum, you're going to choose one of these heroes of the faith to lightly study. They called it walking with for the
Mhm,
year and just see
mhm,
how it shapes your life. And I know
mhm.
some red flags were going off in me because of my
Right.
Catholic
Me too.
background. Like, we look at this a little different. With saints aren't a part of our denomination. I'm not comfortable with that. But the Holy Spirit was right there just to calm me down and just say, hey, this is all, you're safe. And this is not, you can just watch. And if it crosses any lines, you can exit. Right.
Mhm,
So he calmed me down. So anyway, during that year, I picked Evelyn Underhill. She was my first giant, and everyone in class picked their own. And we would just lightly study them and talk a little bit about what we were learning during class. And I
mhm,
was amazed how each person's giant was shaping them, ministering perfectly to who they were and the gifts they had. And I would like hear quotes from my giant in different areas where I was feeling challenged. And I was like, huh, this is interesting. So then the next couple years during training, they had us pick a new giant for a 2-year period. Same thing happened, only deeper
mm,
because we were spending
mhm,
even longer. So then
mhm,
we graduated from the program, and the following year, I was in a time like this right before the beginning of the year, and I was praying about, Lord, how would you have me grow closer to you this year? What do you want me to pursue in my relationship with
mhm,
you? And I had
mhm.
this little thought, I miss having a giant in my life. Like, we're not
Right,
assigned it anymore. I want to choose a new
right.
giant.
Mhm,
So, and at the same time, I was leading retreats, I was spiritual directing, and I was doing this practice, and other people in my life were asking me to teach them how to walk with giants. They
mm,
were like, "We've never heard of this before. Is this biblical?
mhm,
And can you teach us
mhm.
how to do it?"
Right.
And so I thought, "Oh my goodness, I know." And I was writing a little bit at that time for our retreat center, and I've been wanting a broader topic to write on.
Mhm,
So I thought, "Oh my goodness, I'll choose a giant to walk with, and I'll write articles throughout the year about the experience of walking with a giant that will
mhm,
serve as an illustration to people that read it about
mm,
what it looks like to walk with a giant, but they're just not going to read my story. We're going to start them in chapter 1 choosing their own giant. So they're going to have application all the way along to their own giant journey. So that's how it started, and immediately people in my life, I mean, there was a few friends that showed up and were like, "Can we walk with you right now?"
mhm,
So I started leading people in Walking with Giants
mhm,
then and have ever since been leading,
mhm,
leading, leading. And
mhm,
then it turned into a book. It turned into people saying, "This is a book idea, you should publish it." Try to
mhm,
get a traditional publisher, go to this conference, talk to this person, take this class.
mhm.
And like one thing led to another to where I was
Right.
standing, with a book contract with a big publisher
Mhm,
that they wanted this book and this book.
mhm.
So a dream come true,
Right.
just a
Which
dream come true.
honestly is just so unheard of for a first-time author to get, like, a book deal like what you got
Yes.
is really unheard
Yeah.
of,
Y
but
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
love in even that story, which, I got to have a little bit of a front row seat to some of those details, but what I love about this story is even how you, described it, like, "I'm going to select a new giant," even how you refer to what a giant is, just a hero of the faith, someone in the faith that has just gone before you. But it reminds me of even how I described you in the intro of when I first met you, you were just someone that was just a step ahead of me. And that's
Mhm.
what really drew me to you. Well, that and I did like your sense of style. I really did like I did like your clothes, and
Right.
I did quietly stalk and find out where you shopped, and I did end up shopping at some of the same places. I never told you that.
Wow. Oh,
I
wow.
never
That's good
told
to
you that,
know.
but I
Yes.
actually did, purchase the exact same slippers that I saw you wearing once. I know you had brought slippers to our class one
Yes.
weekend, and I saw where you, got those, and I did actually buy the same
So
slippers.
smart. So smart. I'm for that 100%. Yes.
That is, like, the most stalker thing I've ever done, though.
Just send me the
So,
link.
I'm pretty harmless besides
Yes,
that.
for sure.
I
For
might buy
sure.
the same slippers, but anyhow,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I like how you describe that, like, these are people that are just a step ahead of us, and we can learn from their examples, just like I was learning some things from your example, and then they continue to walk alongside of us. So, can we
Yes.
unpack that a little bit? So, what
Yeah.
does the actual process of Journey with a Giant? What does that look like? How long
Yeah.
is that process? Like some of those
Yeah.
basic questions that someone might
Mhm.
have, like how long does
Mhm.
this last? What does this look like?
Yeah.
Is this
Mhm.
weird, or how long does it take?
Yes.
Can I do it
Mhm.
wrong? Some of those
Yeah.
basic things.
Yeah, 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 and how do I choose a giant? I don't know who to choose, which
Right.
neither did we, right? When they
Right.
said that to us,
No.
we would have been lost without
Right.
that list of 50 people. So, yeah,
Yes.
first of all, like, how do I know who to choose? And I've created a quiz. It's called the Transformational 10 quiz that people can go to my website and take, and it will give you 10 spiritual giants from history that resonate with your season of life, your struggles, your
Mhm.
desires, your spiritual gifts. And in
Mhm.
chapter 1 of the book, I walk you through selecting your giant, a process. And I give you a list like the one we got of
Mhm.
50 people just to get the wheels turning about what a giant looks like. What are we talking about here? And then you
Mhm.
narrow it down, and the Holy Spirit shows you who to choose. And then
Mhm.
so this is laid out as a 1 year journey where you
Yes.
choose a giant and you focus on a little different category of their life each year. And the book is laid out in 12 chapters, one for each month. So
Okay.
all you do is you choose your giant, and then you
Mhm.
follow the instructions in the month that you're in, that chapter that
Mhm.
you're in the book, and you
Mhm.
just by the Spirit choose your path. You're listening. I'm
Mhm.
very intentional about. I'm not telling you exactly. I'm not laying out in black and white what you're going to do with your giant, but
Mhm.
having you listen to the Spirit for what He's showing you, what He wants you
Mhm.
to focus on, what materials He wants you to focus on. So each month you have your giant, and then, like, for instance, in the first month, I just have people choose a book or an audio series or a YouTube of your giant that you feel most drawn to. And doesn't have to be anything heavy, just something light to start. And so that is what 2 or 3 times a week you'll spend a little bit of time with that, what I call that resource, and you keep a journal
Mhm.
of things that the Lord's highlighting for you. And
Mhm.
then if you have a friend that's also doing it with you, or you're a part of the Journey with the Giant Facebook group, you can come in and share and hear about other people's journey, and it just keeps you continuing
Mhm.
on your journey. So, and
Mhm.
then each month you just circle back around, you do that same process again with a maybe I'll give you suggestions each month about maybe a different
Mhm.
category of the giant's life that you could
Sure, like
focus
some
on.
prompts. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you just continue that journey, and some months will be a little bit more, time for you, and other months, like in the summer, there's months where it's just like you're just taking it easy and slow. You're just
Yeah.
maybe taking a book to the beach while you're with your family on vacation, or going on a little field trip, like someone that
Mhm.
chose Harriet Tubman was down in Tennessee, and they went on a historic tour and then just journaled about it. So
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
happens as we do this with our giant is that God is speaking into your own life and shaping your own life
Mm.
in ways that you haven't experienced before in your Christian life because of their example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's great. One thing I really loved about your book is how short each week's, reading is. They're really only like
Mhm.
2 or 3 pages,
Yes.
which
Yes.
honestly, though, I think that is such a huge win because instantly you feel like, "Oh, I have like a whole year to
Uh-huh.
read this book and to do this process. This is not something I have to bang out." And then each week within that is so doable. And I think that
Yes.
that is so encouraging because, for one, if someone isn't a reader, that can feel overwhelming just to begin with, if they think, "Oh, I'm not really a reader." But this is really doable. And the
Mhm.
pace is, um somewhat like self-selected a little bit. Like it isn't,
Mhm.
there's nothing driving about the
Mm-mm.
pace. And
Mhm.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
It's
Hmm.
very individual. Like, some people will journey with a giant with just one, like, I've had some people do one book for the whole year, and they just take bite-sized pieces, and they observe what God's
Mm,
doing in their life. Other people will be more of a studier, and they'll have more books they use, or some people will be like, "I'm not a reader at all. I just listen to audio," and that's great, you know? So it's super individual with what
hmm.
type of person, what
Hmm.
other things you have going on in
Hmm.
your life.
Yeah.
I totally respect that. I know Journey with a Giant is not the only thing people have going on in their spiritual life. You're going to
Right.
be doing it alongside other, Bible study or other
Right.
things you're doing. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a simple practice to accompany your whole life, not,
Hmm.
not overtake it.
Hmm. Hmm. So, what would you say to someone if they're like, well, I really want to study someone that is like right now, that's living right
Mhm.
now? Or do you recommend that we learn from people that have gone before us, kind of that Hebrews 12
Yes.
model, right?
Right.
So
I'm
people that
laughing.
are deceived.
Yes.
You
I'm
are laughing.
laughing
I'm like,
because
is this a
this
dumb
is
question?
well, okay, so, it is a funny question because, the theme scripture for journeying with spiritual giants, when we
Hmm.
first learned this, they didn't give us a
Hmm.
biblical passage to say, "And here's where you find this passage in scripture, just so you know it's biblical." So
Right.
afterwards, when I was
Which would have
thinking
been
about them,
helpful.
that would have calmed us, wouldn't it?
It would
Um
have.
so, but after I got out, I asked the Lord, "Where is this? Is this practice and is this a biblical practice?" And I
Yes.
remembered
Yes.
Hebrews 12:1 and 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and weighs us down, fix our eyes on Jesus, and faithfully run our race. That's a paraphrase. Anyway, so it's in there in the cloud of
Hmm.
witnesses. So,
Yes.
and then that those two verses are referring back to chapter 11 where they're citing all
Mhm,
these people from the Old Testament who
mhm,
are the cloud of witnesses referred to. Well,
mhm,
every one of those had finished their race faithfully,
mm.
including
Yes.
Jesus, who was the author and perfecter in that race.
Mhm. Yes.
So, as I was developing this practice, different people would wanna choose living giants, and I went back to our professor and said, "Okay, professor, why can't someone choose someone that's living?" And she said, "Because they have to have faithfully completed." That's a
Mm,
very important part of being a spiritual giant. They can be spiritual giant candidates. We're all spiritual giant candidates right now, but you don't join the hall of faith until you
mhm.
finish your
Finished your
race.
race. Yeah, that makes sense. That's
You
good.
cross the finish line. So anyway,
Mhm.
just recently, I lead a Journey with a Giant Facebook group, and one of the gals in there, I know her, and she's like, "Okay, I chose my giant. It's so and so." And I was like, "Oh no, that person's living. They don't know they have to be dead." How do I say this affirmingly? So I gently said, "That's great. There's just one problem. They have to be dead." And people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's morbid." I'm like, "Well, here's
Lori,
why.
you're like telling people to put a hit on the person they wanna use as a giant.
They have to be dead. I'm sorry." Doesn't mean they can't be an example to you right now. We all have
Right.
living examples
Yes.
beside us. But
Mentors, yeah.
for this
Right.
practice, we are taking people who are dead. They are dead.
Mhm.
They're already in heaven.
But I think that is a helpful distinction because that is actually one of the things that made me question when we started this process. I felt a little like, is this
Mm.
woo-woo? Like,
Oh, yes.
because is this talking
Yes.
to the dead? Because the Old Testament is very clear. Like, we do not do that. We do not do talking to the dead. So that is actually some of why I wanted to ask that question because it was a little like, "Ooh, I have a little pause in my spirit when I was hearing about the practice itself." But having this context of why, again, something that we didn't know initially, but having the context of why we do wanna wait for someone to have run their race and finish their race so we can learn from the whole of their life, I think is so helpful, and it's a really good distinction. Um,
Yeah.
so you go through the book, highlighting Fred Rogers. Mr. Rogers. And can you tell me a few things? Okay, because obviously here on Glorinary, we're all about glimpsing glory in the ordinary of our lives. So, how were you able to see in Mr. Rogers' life just the ordinariness of his
Mhm.
life?
Mm. First of all, by his quirkiness, I mean,
Okay.
he was
Talk to me about
so
that.
he was awkward, and, that's helpful to
Man, I
me
can
because
relate to that. Like,
he
I am
didn't do
awkward.
things perfectly. He didn't do things
Mm,
perfectly. He showed up, on TV, um, with his quirks, he was not charismatic. He didn't act well. He
mhm.
didn't think he wrote well. Um, he wasn't smooth. And so that to me has encouraged me every step of the way as I feel like this, I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel kind of
Yeah,
like odd right now. And like, I don't know how to do all this smooth stuff that I'm supposed to do as a professional. But
right.
he showed up, and humility is showing up. So that's one way that he showed me. Also, he was so ordinary in his presence with people, and he was
Mm,
present to everyone. He was not a respecter of persons.
mm,
He treated the taxi driver that picked him up with regard, sincere regard. As much as he would rather spend time with that person or the person at his gym that, cleaned the locker rooms than getting
mm,
invited to these celebrity like the White House. He wanted to get out of
mhm,
there. He wanted to
mm,
spend time
mhm,
with real people. And when he
mm,
was with you, he was 100% with you. And
mhm,
he had kids that he loved dearly. He spent summers at a little summer cottage that he never fixed up. Like they called it the
hmm,
Crooked House because it was just this rickety old house, and he had all the money in the
hmm,
world, but he never, that was enough. Like ordinary was
hmm.
beautiful to him.
Ugh,
He wanted to be ordinary. He had a
he's
very
my people. I
ordinary,
so relate to that.
yeah. He had a very ordinary schedule. He
Mm,
got up at the same time every morning. He had his
mhm.
morning routine with Jesus. He went to the same health club. I mean, so there was a lot of ordinariness to him, as famous as he was. And I think
Wow.
he was intentional about that.
Mhm,
He wanted to stay ordinary. The beauty was in the ordinary to him.
mhm, mhm.
And me
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. So how do you feel like that is helping you now? Because now you've come into this new season where you've just launched this book. Um, you did land a pretty great book deal. Like, that's a big
Yes.
deal. And so how do
Yes.
you feel like Fred,
Mhm.
I'm just calling him Fred because
I
apparently I'm on a
know.
first name basis with him, but how do you feel like his story as your giant really helped
Mhm.
prepare you for right now and
Yeah.
this
Yep.
season and walking into some pretty big yeses that have been so, such deep desires from so many decades ago? Like, how do you feel like he really prepared you for where you are now?
Yeah, like with big doors that open,
Mhm.
being both, like that I don't choose one or the other. I'm still mom, I'm still grandma, I'm
Mhm.
still Brian's wife. And
Mhm.
just like he was, just like when
Mm.
he would,
Mhm.
tussle with his grandkids, and I'm learning how to do that. I haven't
Mhm.
fully learned how to do that because I'm
Mhm.
just now, but I feel like God has an important shift even in this last month that I've been leaning on into him in prayer for
Mm.
2026 now that the book is out.
Mhm.
I'm shifting. He's shifting me again to, you are both of those things. You are fully
Mm.
mom, fully
Mhm.
wife, fully grandma, and you are
Mhm.
also walking in these callings. Whatever
Mm.
doors may open,
Mhm.
I'm still mom.
Mhm.
I'm still wife and friend.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Very similar to, like, I'm still in my quote unquote crooked house,
Yes,
like
yes,
like
yes.
how Mr. Rogers stayed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he took the thing about the crooked house too that's encouraging for anyone who's stepping out in new ways and can get kind of lost in those things is
Mhm.
that he always took the summers and went to Nantucket Island where the crooked house was. He took time away when he could
Mm.
have worked 24/7,
Oh,
365
that's
days a
good.
year, but
Right.
he valued it. And that
Sabbath.
speaks to me. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
and
did
that's
a
maybe
Sabbath
how he
rest.
stayed. He stayed
Mhm.
grounded probably that way. Like,
Mhm.
you have to
Mhm.
take time away and be normal.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, mhm. Not that I have that problem. Most of my life is very normal. There's these little moments where I'm on an interview or, whatever, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask you, kind of pivoting a little bit away from the book now. Let me ask you this question just kind of for funsies. But one of the things I like to say a lot on the show is that God knows how to speak to me in a way that I know how to hear. And God knows how to
Mhm.
speak to you, Lori, in a way that you know how to hear. So, what would you say is one of the biggest ways that you hear and connect with the Lord?
Mm. Time alone with God,
Mhm.
retreat. Before I wrote the book, before we had the sanctuary, I was a retreater. I would go and spend time alone with God for on day retreats, and just that was such a intimate connection. I mean, even going back in my high school days when I spent time alone in my bedroom with the Lord, or strapped my cassette player to my bike rack and rode around Niagara Falls, before there were headphones blaring like Keith Green. Um, so, that thread of my intimacy with God that went way
Mhm.
back there continued as I was raising my kids. I would take days alone with God. Then God
Yeah.
gave us the retreat center. Then the book came and I poured myself into writing in the book. And you know what? Now I'm back. And guess what? One of the first things to come back is retreating. Like,
Mm.
I just got back from a 24-hour retreat. I was like, "Lord, I wanna get this is a
Mhm.
special place for you and I know
Right.
why. I know
Right.
why. It goes way
Mhm.
back."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that quiet time in his presence and yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. Just the solitude, the silence.
Yeah.
God is in silence, and we
Mm.
need it to heal our inside person that's so fragmented every other part
Mm.
of, our life.
Mhm.
And so he touches us and he heals when we just
Mm.
get quiet.
Get
Just to
quiet.
have the
Yeah.
time to walk outside, eat your breakfast
Mhm.
slow.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, hot drinks,
Yeah.
very important.
Some of these
Unlimited.
slow Hey, I'm right there with you. I'm I'm
Yes.
nonstop with the coffee.
Yes, yes.
S so, so, Lori, where can people find you? Where can they find the book? Where can they find out about the sanctuary at Bear Creek? Where can they just
Mhm.
learn more about Lori G. Melton? And I want to make sure I put the
Yes.
G in there. The G is important.
Exactly. Lori Glenn, Lori G. Melton. Yeah, I have a website, lorigmelton.com, and where you can learn about the book, all the resources. There's a discussion guide if you're going to do the book with
Hmm.
others. There's a Bible reading plan that goes with Journey with a Giant on there. There's the quiz, there's videos. The podcast series, I have a Journey with a Giant podcast series that is really
Hmm.
fun, and we interviewed you on that one. So
Yep.
that's at lorigmelton.com. And I have a tab on there for Journey with a Giant and also for the sanctuary at Bear Creek. So you can go to Lori G. Melton, click on Sanctuary at Bear Creek. That'll take you to that
Hmm.
website. So,
Yes.
yep. That's where you want to go. And the quiz is on there too. The quiz is a pop up. So you go to the website and the Transformational 10 quiz will pop up and you'll take it. You'll love it. It's so fun to get personalized
It is, and
responses to you.
if I can speak to your little matchmaker quiz, it is incredibly accurate too, because I am in the hunt. That's a weird way to say that, but I am considering who I would like to journey with next in Journey with a Giant. And
Mhm.
so I had kind of like a couple of names that were like rolling around in my mind that I felt like, Lord, I feel like maybe you're stirring me towards these. But I took your quiz
Yeah.
I think I took like a beta version of your quiz because you were getting ready to roll it out. And the names that it popped back to me, these people were both on it. So I was like,
Serious?
okay.
Wow. I love that.
I'm
I
like,
love that. It
that is,
works.
it's an echo and it's also incredibly accurate. So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to speak to that.
Yes, it's good.
And then how can someone buy the book? Where would they find it?
On the website, you can go on there
Okay.
and anywhere you like to, it's available at your local bookstores. It should be all over, but
Hmm.
any online retailer, I've got a button on there for you to
Okay.
purchase the book that way. So yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, and speaking of your book, let me just throw this out there. I actually bought this at Lori's launch night, her book signing
Mm,
night, and
so
it's
fun.
signed and everything. It's ready to go. But I would like to give this away to one of our listeners. So if I could have you just comment either on the Glordinary social media pages on Facebook or Instagram, you can send me an email to Stacy@glordinary.com. It's Stacy, Stacy. There's no E. Stacy@glordinary.com, or you can go on our Glordinary website page and just leave me a note. Talk to me, tell me anything of like, this was interesting, this was intriguing. This is somebody I might like to study, or I'm familiar with this, or loved your conversation. Tell me anything. Just drop me a note and we will enter you in a drawing and we will get this guy heading out to one lucky individual. So,
Mhm.
anyhow, that'll get you
Yep.
started on your journey with a
Mhm.
giant. But before we go, Lori, anything that we didn't cover that you're like, I have got to share this, Stace, or I'm just going to
Yeah.
be up at night thinking about?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think one thing that comes across my mind with Journey with the Giant and walking with giants was how I had been a Christian for 40 some years, a passionate follower of Jesus, and I had never tapped into this. I look at it like a treasure chest along our path of life, that
Mm,
I feel like
mm-hmm,
it was a treasure chest and God was just waiting for me to open the lid and
mm,
discover what the heroes of the faith and the cloud of witnesses, the gift they're supposed to be in our
mm.
discipleship life with Jesus.
Yeah.
So I just pray that your listeners, the ones that God is prompting to look into this
Mm-hmm,
practice, would discover that same thing like, oh my gosh, Lord, I can't believe how you have shaped me and drawn me
mm,
closer to you through this practice that I had no idea was there, that even
right,
existed. And I mean,
right.
it just speaks so much about the endless ways that God has of knowing Him. He's
Mm,
always got new ways of
mm-hmm,
knowing Him for us to
mm-hmm,
discover as we go along.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Right,
I'm
because
excited
God knows
about
how to
that.
speak. He knows how to
Yeah,
speak in a way we know how to
yep,
hear, so it's
yep,
beautiful. Yeah.
yep, yep. And I'm
Well,
I'm so thankful for our friendship. I mean, to have gone back 10 years ago and us
yeah.
meeting in spiritual formation classes,
Mhm,
and then how our paths have intersected and watching you do what God's called you to. Us linking together and saying, okay, we can see this in each other's life.
yeah,
We think this is the Lord. Take that step,
mhm,
and
yeah,
watching him just be glorified in that,
yeah, yeah.
in the
Well,
Glordinary.
in the Glordinary, and it's like you told me, there's nowhere to begin except as a beginner,
Hmm.
so
Yep.
it's not about
Ouch.
perfection, it's just no,
I wish it was
just right.
different. I told you I'd pay money to skip that step, but it's not possible.
It's not, and
Uh,
there's a beauty in it, so I wanna thank my dear friend and guest, Lori Melton, who is living a very ordinary life in a glordinary way, just glimpsing God's glory in the ordinary of her life. So, Lori, I'm going to ask, could you send us off with our signature glordinary tagline?
yes, I would love to. So remember, friends, you're not alone in this. I'm praying for you. Have a glordinary day.